Let the fun times begin. Symbols broken with a wink. Politics served with a drink. Breaking headlines you might miss. Wrapped in an ironic twist. They were fun at all the wines.
Hello, everyone. I love the new intro song because I feel like I'm going to be part of an 80s to early 90s, oh gosh, Family Matters type thing. Love it. Thank you, Jeff Montgomery, for being the first commenter, and Wolfram for doing all of the Modly Mod stuff that you do so great. Fraud at Wrangler, good morning, and you are welcome for everyone I send over. Look, Dumbwaiter is an American treasure that needs to move out of my state, but we still need to treasure his stupidity that he willingly puts on the internet. Good morning, Obscure Destinations Outdoors, and Wicked Wookie, Speedy Gonzalez, and Fraud at Wrangler, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. And those went to Speedy Gonzalez, Jung Forever, KMC Cheesehead, CMB, and Shenanigram Yell Rock still. So thank you. Well, I mean, there's those comedic tragedies that just for some reason get me. And I love a dumpster fire. It's my favorite thing to make my life feel better. Look, I may or may not watch my 600-pound life as I'm doing my morning walks. I don't know why that motivates me, but it does. It does. Our first story doesn't really affect me because I think avocados are gross. They're too green, but I also have the palate of a 12-year-old, child. So, I mean, but the US and Mexico can end their Mexican standoff over avocados, but not without a dig from the Mexican president. The new one, I want to say Rossbaum or something, or the old one. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador on Monday criticized the U.S. government's withdrawal of inspectors from avocado packing houses, even as both sides in the dispute said exports to the USA would resume. The U.S. agriculture halted inspections in the violence-plagued state of Mohecan on June 15th. Now, there is actually a reality where certain, let's say, organized criminal elements in Mexico have taken over avocado farms because it is a very lucrative export. And apparently, Americans are eating all the avocados everywhere in the world for some reason. I don't understand it. Look, I have tried the guacamole, or not I've tried guacamole. It's still too green for me. I have tried, smoothies. No, no, it just tastes too green. And I am sorry. I just don't get it. My mom always liked it because I never stole her guacamole. So there you go. Don't say I never did nothing for you, Mom. But we do have this general takeover of cartels running these avocado farms because, oh, what an interesting way to ship things somewhat legally to the US. And if, certain things happen to be in the boxes too, I mean, well, 2 birds, 1 stone. After 2 employees were attacked and detained, according to Ken Salazar, the U.S. ambassador to Mexico. The move effectively blocked shipments to the U.S. of both avocados and mangoes from the county or city-state in Mexico, paralyzing a crucial industry. Mexican officials and producers put the damage at $75 million in lost exports and thousands of lost jobs. In his regular morning news conference, the Mexican president accused Washington of a bad precedent in failing to reach out to the Mexican authorities before abruptly canceling inspections. Now, far be it from me, but as the president, shouldn't you know the kind of crazy BS cartel like orchards that you have? Should you not be aware of certain, criminal groups working, in different sectors? I mean, I didn't expect you'd have to wait for the CIA to send you, an engraved invitation to take inspection upon your own country, but okay. Lopez Obrador, whose term ends in October on the 1st, has collaborated closely with Washington on details that include trade, immigration, and crime. But the populist president has often been a frequent critic of what he terms U.S. arrogance, especially dealings on cross border drug trafficking. There was no immediate reaction to Lopez Obrador's comments from U.S. officials, even as the U.S. ambassador traveled to Morelia, the capital of Michoacan, and declared the avocado standoff settled. They probably shared a big bowl of, guacamole. Just, you know what? I'm telling you what, sometimes I will go to a Mexican restaurant, I will order a dinner, have them box it up, and I will simply eat on a bunch of chips and salsa because God bless, all the Mexican restaurants next to us, but that salsa, yum. The ambassador did not specify if inspections and imports of avocados and mangoes had returned. On Friday, Salazar said that inspectors tasked with certifying that the fruit are free of disease and pest before being exported would gradually be returning back to fruit packing house. Fraude, yes, I do believe so. I believe we're we're just supposed to let all the avocados and possible Mexican, Colombian, nose powder in and just believe it's powdered sugar. I think that's the general goal. The US and Mexican officials have provided conflicting accounts of the June 14th incident that led to the shutdown of inspections. While Salazar said two inspectors were attacked and detained, Mexican authorities said the pair, both Mexican nationals employed by the embassy, were never targeted or held. Their vehicle was one of dozens stopped in an unrelated protest about unpaid police wages in the municipality of Paracho, according to Mexican officials. Demonstrators in Morachan and elsewhere in Mexico routinely block roads to draw attention to their grievances. Mexico exports more than 300 or 3.5 billion with a B dollars in avocados to the United States. Uh, Michoacan is the country's primary producer of avocados, but organized crime gangs there regularly shake down growers, field hands, truckers, and others involved in the lucrative commerce for green gold, as the fruit are known. Well, there you go. Avocados are terrible. Let's stop eating them. This would, of course, not be a sacrifice for me, so take none of my advice because I have no skin in the game. I am happy that other people like them, I just don't get it. But as I've said repeatedly and before, I do have the, very, very sophisticated palate of a 12-year-old. In other news, Christina Applegate announced that her 13-year-old daughter was diagnosed with POTS or POTS, and let's learn what that is. Christina Applegate has revealed that her 13-year-old daughter has been diagnosed with POTS or POTS. Sadie shared, I have no clue what it actually is, but it's something to do with the autonomic nervous system and it affects my heart. When I stand up, I get really dizzy and my legs get really weak, and I feel like I'm going to pass out. Good morning, Cynthia, retired firefighter, and Squid Pro Quo. And I will actually learn how to say your current name. I just have remembered it as the other one, so. POTS, formerly known as postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, is when your heart rate increases quickly after getting up from sitting or laying down. Thank you, Twisted Logic, for the $4 super sticker. I love the pear and coffee. I do drink my caffeine cold. I'm gonna tell you guys, I can't do coffee. It is too bitter, and by the time you add enough creamer and sugar to the thing, then I'd rather have a milkshake. I mean, let's be honest, I can put Baileys in a vanilla milkshake too. Though I did contact the people of Shakeology and ask if that would change the nutrition content of their coffee flavor. They never answered me. I think they might have hung up. It is a chronic disorder that affects the autonomic nervous system and blood circulation and could lead to tremors, nausea, and fainting. Sadie revealed that while she only received her diagnosis recently, she's been living with the condition for a while. The Married with Children alumni, 52, says she hates that her daughter has to experience the chronic disorder. Quote, I hate it for you, my darling. I really hate it for you, Applegate said, but I'm sad, but I love you and I know you're going to be okay. And I'm here for you and believe in you. And thank you for bringing this to light and awareness. Sadie, whom Applegate shares with her husband, Martin Lenoble, recalled leaving after her sixth grade classes to visit the nurse multiple times a day. In class, if I were to stand up then, I would be like, I have to go to the nurse. I can't handle this. Or I'd be in PE and I'd be like, I have to go to the nurse, she said. They were like, you're doing this to get out of class. It's probably just anxiety. Go back to class. They wouldn't do anything for it. Them not doing anything about it hurt me physically and emotionally, she continued, because I just felt like this is rude. I feel sick, and you're telling me to go back to PE and run laps around the football field. I can't do that. Applegate, who was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 2021, admitted she was initially dismissive of her daughter's symptoms. She wears layers of clothes on 90-degree days and she hates PE. Sorry, school, not a big fan of PE or physical things, Applegate said. I was like, oh, I kind of felt that way too. I feel so horrible we didn't pay attention to it. I just didn't see it at home. You were at home, you were fine, but it's kind of like us, Applegate went on. When we get out in the world, the stresses and anxieties of the world bring on our symptoms much worse than they would be if we were in the safety and coolness of our own home. See, I'm just a genius staying in my home. I'm not antisocial. I am simply a genius and taking care of myself. Uh, After gaining some clarity on her condition, Sadie said it's helped her to understand what my mom goes through. Like when my mom is like, oh, I'm kind of in pain right now. Oh, I'm kind of having tremors. If I didn't have this, I probably would be like, I don't care. I don't know what you're talking about, she added. So eh, I kind of had a similar thing with my daughter this year. She was in a side by side accident. She hurt her elbow. Everything is fine. Everything is, they've done all the scans. We're just not sure why it's healing so slowly. But, she kind of had a breakthrough sitting in the car one day and she's like, I don't know how you do this. And I was like, well, driving will come to you as you do more, because I just figured she was talking about driving. And she said, "No, how do you deal with being in pain all the time?" And I said, "Well, not honestly do I handle it great all the time, but I try to remember that just because I'm having a bad day doesn't mean that gives me the right to pile, poo on other people and make their day bad." And she's like, "Well, it's hard. I don't know how you do it." So I wish that my daughter didn't have to be hurt, but it was kind of nice to have her maybe walk a little bit in my slides, going full Sarah Boone. So I'm sorry, Audio Coffee. Yeah, it sounds terrible. You know, I know more now than I ever did before that when your body just is foreign to you, whether it just is a new condition or You're having to relearn how to use this body that has changed with no helpful instruction manual. It really is so difficult to adjust through trial and error, and it can be just doggone exhausting. So I'm glad that, this young lady has a really good role model in Christina Applegate, and they both can understand each other a little bit better. So that's good news. In what in the Trooper Proctor Super Troopers is this BS? A South Carolina cop was demoted for using city cameras to track his wife he suspected of cheating on with a fellow officer. Well, that's that's what we call administrative work, according to Higgins. A snooping South Carolina police officer was knocked down in rank for using local citywide cameras to spy on his wife, who he suspected was cheating on him with a colleague. Good lord, are these police like stations just worse than freaking Gossip Girl? A show I never watched, but holy god. I mean, there is more, wife swapping, key parties, cover-ups, craziness. Just absolutely insane. Ryan Terrell, a former North Charleston Police Department lieutenant, abused his power to track down his wife on at least 3 occasions before he unearthed the alleged affair in a Target parking lot. Well, that's where you should have all of your affairs, Target. Then you can just go in and buy groceries after. What in the heck? According to a report from the South Carolina Criminal Justice Academy note of disciplinary action obtained by WCSC, Terrell's clandestine behavior was revealed after he allegedly threatened to harm a sergeant suspected of having a romantic relationship with his wife on April 11th. Um, your officerness, and look, I am a fluff too, okay? But maybe if you walked to catch your wife, you could get cardio and revenge at the same time. It's just a thought. Look, I'm taking small steps too. I am not willing to eat avocado, but I am walking on my walking pad. So I'm just saying, but sir, if you maybe tried to, ambulate a bit more to catch your wife. Terrell had caught wind of his wife's alleged illicit relationship earlier that day, according to the outlet. He then aired his anger to several colleagues who reported him to the Office of Professional Standards after they became concerned he may follow through with his apparent threat. The allegation of violence led officials to investigate Terrell. After investigators interviewed Terrell, his wife, and the sergeant, it was deemed to be an empty threat. During the probe, however, Terrell admitted he told his wife he'd go to jail if he caught her. The dubious cop fessed up to using department owned cameras around the city to tail his wife. Terrell claimed he only did it because he was concerned for his wife's safety, according to the disciplinary uh, action report. However, further analysis by investigators showed he excessively used the cameras to spy on her. Records state that the suspicious officer reportedly used the live feed to spy on his wife at least 3 separate times, according to the outlet. Data logs revealed that Terrell accessed the cameras the day he unearthed his wife's alleged affair in a Target parking lot. Terrell had easy access to the devices since he oversaw the city's camera system. You don't say. Have you been watching a certain trial in which certain things allegedly were deleted? Let's see. Uh, Terrell was demoted to Master Patrol Officer and given 6 months probation over his distrustful behavior. He was also removed from his position as the camera systems overseer and had his access to the technology stripped away. Well, sir, on patrol, you might get some more cardio. It'll be great. Look, Every one of us feels a little better when we take healthier steps. Uh, Terrell's career in criminal justice started at the U.S. Navy as a master at arms before he left the service to become a corrections officer in Charleston County Detention Center, according to his LinkedIn. He has been with the City of North Charleston Police Department since September 2008. True. True. Just, uh, you know what? I look, wife, you are dirty on cheating with your vows in place. Other guy, it's not like you don't know cell phones have tracking devices. I'm sure you know your wife's password. I feel like you had plenty of opportunities. Not that I want you to be a creep and stalk your wife, but I'm just saying, it's almost like you had different ways of doing this with your knowledge as a police officer, and you went with and did a dumb. A man who diverted a national park river to ease boat access to Lake Michigan is put on probation. Why is the government punishing someone for doing something that helps people? Oh, well, it's Michigan. Never mind. I answer my own question. A man convicted of diverting a national park river to ease access to boats to Lake Michigan was sentenced Tuesday to probation. Andrew Howard was also banned from National Park Service property during the 5-year period, including Sleeping Bear Dunes National Lakeshore in northern Michigan, where the incident occurred, prosecutors said. Mr. Howard had a policy dispute with the National Park Service over whether to dredge the Platte River. While Mr. Howard had the right to disagree and advocate for his position, he did not have the right to take the law into his own hand and force his favored result, said U.S. Attorney Mark Toddin. Howard was found guilty of misdemeanor tampering and vandalism during a brief trial in February. In August 2022, a ranger witnessed Howard digging with a shovel. Within days, the government said a new channel to Lake Michigan grew to about 200 feet, 61 meters wide, attracting fishermen. The Park Service no longer dredges the river. As a result, sediment and sand build up, reducing the ability to get boats into Lake Michigan. In a court filing, defense attorney Tony Valentine said that the river already had been diverted by others when Howard moved some of the rock and sand. Anything that Mr. Howard did, characterized as enhancing the newly created flow of the river, was really insignificant. Good morning, Alice G. I hope you are doing great. And this also happened, Wicked Wookie, I believe in Florida. No, I think it was in California, maybe San Bernardino area. I did a story about a man getting ticketed for trying to help out people that basically were uh, flooded in because there wasn't proper drainage out to the sea, if I can remember correctly. Oh, it's a baby tapir. San Diego Zoo celebrates birth of endangered Bard's tapir. The San Diego Zoo announced the birth of a female tapir, an endangered animal native to Mexico and Central America. The zoo said the calf, born June 3rd to Mother Luna, is now on display alongside the facility's capybaras in the enclosure located in the Elephant Odyssey section of the zoo. Luna is bonding with her calf by vocalizing to her, licking her, and keeping a close eye on her all times, the zoo said in the announcement. The calf is starting to get the zoomies and likes to mouth and play with leaves and food even if she's not eating. They spend their time grooming, nursing, and laying together. The birth was a hailed milestone for conservation efforts for the tapir, which is listed as endangered on the International Union for Conservation of Nature Red List of Threatened Species. Animals are threatened by sport hunting in Costa Rica and habitat loss due to farming, cattle grazing, and palm oil and rubber plantations, the zoo said. So there you go. I'm glad we got to see a cute little baby aminal. And I have to remind my son that no, we cannot have a capybara, even though they're cool and a famous YouTuber has one. Which, I mean, if someone on YouTube has something, I don't know how we can't, get it too. And heck no, no, thank you, put me to sleep. A man was wide awake during a trailblazing kidney transplant procedure at Northwestern Memorial. Again, put me to sleep. I don't do well. I've had one surgery where I was lucid and yeah, no. No, thank you. No, I'm done. Don't do that to me again. Knock me all the way out. It will not end up well for my blood pressure if you do not. A Chicago man was wide awake as he witnessed Northwestern medicine surgeons place his childhood best friend's kidney inside him during a cutting edge kidney transplant procedure. John Nichols, uh, 28, underwent surgery on May 24th and, quote, felt no pain as doctors decided against general anesthesia and instead opted for a spinal anesthesia shot, the Chicago based healthcare system said Monday in a news release. Nicholas was discharged from the hospital and home less than 24 hours after the procedure, which took 2 hours to complete. Yeah, no, no, knock me out. Put me out. Yeah, do not pass go. Do not, I don't, look, I just don't do well with not being in control. And I seriously need to be put to sleep because I'm like, oh, what was that? Oh, what was that? Oh, you just said. Did you just make me paralyzed? I don't do well with with being awake while people are around me with sharp things. This is the first case at Northwestern Medicine where a patient was awake during an entire kidney transplant procedure and went home the next day, basically making this an outpatient procedure, said Satish Nagig, one of the transplant surgeons at Northwestern Medicine who performed the procedure and said in the release. Our hope is awake kidney transplants can decrease some of the risks of general anesthesia while shortening the patient's hospital stay. Yeah, Wicked Wookie. Yeah, I epidurals work pretty well with me for children purposes, but yeah, no. Look, if I go to the hospital and I'm getting the epidural because I'm pushing out a child and I get to have a brand new cuddly, new baby smell, I'm willing to deal with it. But no, if you're going to be just doing plain old surgery on me, I will take the Bill Cosby pudding pop. Thank you. The patient said the kidney transplant procedure was a pretty cool experience. Dr. Vincent Garcia Tomas, an anesthesiologist who assists during the procedure, said doing anesthesia for the awake kidney transplant was easier than many C-sections. For John's case, we placed a spinal anesthesia shot in the operating room and a bit of sedation for comfort. Tomas said in a release, it was incredibly simple and uneventful, but allowed John to be awake for the procedure, improving the patient experience. I do have a question though. Can I, like, if I ever did this and they had to keep me awake, I would demand, a mounted, whatever. I mean, I'm still upset I didn't get when I got my tubes like tied, cut, spray painted, closed, that they wouldn't give me a little jar because these fallopian tubes have been through a lot. I wanted to maybe mount them on my on my mantle because I am just that weird. But I was like, look, they helped bring 6 children into the world. I'm kind of okay. I mean, I feel like those fallopian tubes need to be brassed and given a, place of honor in somewhere in my house. Oh, greedy bloke, you have no idea. So, in a sort of a side update, um, I did find a place in Indiana that is willing to bundle the cost for ketamine treatments, infusions. So I have been wrestling with myself back and forth about when to schedule this and indeed scheduling it because goodness knows that it is very hard for me to look at the spending more than a used car on this treatment because it's not covered by insurance and we can cover it. That's a blessing. I am so grateful we can, after some saving, we can do it. But it will also be then 12 days of me getting 4-hour infusions. So those will be some streams because I have my laptop. I'm getting a fancy dancy pillow, and I'm sure this will be awesome. But I need to ask you guys for a favor. If by Friday I haven't made my appointment, feel free to shame and encourage me to do it. I've been putting this off because, again, the thought of spending so much money basically on myself and the real fear that this will not work has been somewhat paralyzing. So just remind me, I have my goal set for Friday that I will have this, but it has been a big mental block for me. And Mr. Mo is like, have you not scheduled this appointment, doggone it? And we're so lucky that he gets to take time off to help me because obviously, um, no, not, I'm not getting an outpatient kidney transplant, but what I am getting is uh, I will be signing up for ketamine infusions. They're about 4 hours long, and I have to do them for about 12 days. 10 days, you know, is about the least amount they want to do for CRPS. So I am definitely um, excited, nervous, all the things, heaped with mom guilt. I mean, I love feelings, but sometimes I'm like, all of these togethers, I need you to sort these out and put these in a logical list, and then I need to be able to do human stuff. Tim, I wouldn't admit that, but YOLO. Thank you. I needed some gunnery sergeant. Oh gosh, Hardman. I needed what we have here is a failure to communicate. I know that is not from Full Metal Jacket. I know that is from something else. But yes. Um his force multiplier was loaded. A suspected cop impersonator with flashing lights tried to pull over and ram a family in a minivan, police said. Thank you guys. I just figure it's easier to hold myself accountable if I tell other people because if I just go with my own motivation, I will put that stuff off for years because I am just like that. What in the dingleberry do we have here, sir? A, why do you have a t-shirt on under your polo shirt that has not one matching characteristic, along with shorts for men? A man with convictions for impersonating law enforcement is accused of doing it again, flashing realistic police lights while carrying a loaded force multiplier, allegedly trying to ram a family in a minivan on a highway in Ohio. Yeah, note to self, if a guy in a Ford Wrangler comes up and tries to pit maneuver you just out of the blue, it's probably not a real cop, or it is a real cop in Canton. I mean, there are two very distinct paths, but it's either this is not a real cop or this is a police officer from Canton. Dennis Mead, 52, faces one count of impersonating an officer and for those t-shirt choices and a first-degree misdemeanor, online records show. The case came to light on Saturday at 5:40 p.m. on a highway in Miamisburg, south of Dayton. The suspect was driving a white Chevrolet Tahoe. Yeah, Tahoe. Are you insane? He allegedly tried to pull over a couple in a minivan with two toddlers in the back seat. Adam Holland, the minivan driver, told the police that the Tahoe driver flashed his lights to get him to pull over and tried ramming the minivan. He took a sharp turn and tried to ram me, Holland told an investigator recorded on police body camera footage. He said the man tried to hit him 5 or 7 times on the highway. From all outward appearances, the man appeared to be a law enforcement officer, but with wheels like police cars, a spotlight, a PA system, radios, and sirens, Halden knew something wasn't right about the lights, which were red and orange or yellow. That's what made me know he wasn't a cop, he told the officer. Holland's girlfriend told Fox News affiliate WXIX she was terrified for her children. I have a sticker on the back of my car saying I've got kids in my car, she told the station. So I'm thinking he wanted them. He was going to, take us out and take them. And that gun, his, force multiplier was loaded. No, no. When police pulled Meade over, the officer noted his vehicle had a light bar, a thin blue line flag on the tailgate hatch, and a logo that read Concerns of Police Survivors with COPS, local CBS affiliate WHIO reported. Citing police report, Dayton Daily News reported the arresting officer thought that the driver was, quote, possibly a retired law enforcement officer of some sort. Uh, in the police footage, an officer explains why Meade was arrested, saying he has multiple priors for impersonating police, and he had a force multiplier that he was barred from having. So not only are you not a policeman, but you are, not allowed to have a force multiplier, sir. I mean, fancy up your car, make it look like Kit from Knight Rider, but for the love of doofuses, do not pretend you're a prison or a police officer. Police said Meade's vehicle was there we go. It inside the Tahoe, police found zip ties, gloves for evidence collection, a New York Police Department badge, and handcuffs. What in the look? This dude has people buried in his basement, allegedly in Minecraft, but this dude was doing something with the people he done fake arrested. And we need to make sure he doesn't have a basement and or a sewing room like frickin', Silence of the Lambs. If this man knows the dance moves to Goodbye Horses, I'm afraid we have a problem. Meade denied to police that he was in law enforcement and allegedly admitted he activated his lights and sirens to pull the minivan over, but didn't reveal why. Sure, I've had better days, he said in the back of a police car before officers read him his Miranda rights. Understatement of the year. He was booked into the Montgomery County Jail and released on bond out online courts show. Online court records show he was set to appear in Miamisburg Municipal Court on Wednesday. Oh my gosh. In an absolute infuriating news story, and eventually I do want to get on the Lucy Letby story, but laws are so different in the UK that I have to do a butt ton of research because I don't want to ever tell you guys something that's just ridiculously wrong for my lack of knowledge. Nurse Lucy Letby, quote, caught virtually red-handed, end quote, dislodging premature babies' breathing tube. Now, Nurse Lucy Letby was a nurse in the NICU or neonatal intensive care unit, but also the PICU, so pediatric intensive care. And she was using several different methods to, I believe she has been convicted. So she has been convicted for using air bubble aneurysms, uh, I think heparin and insulin to unalive these young children who would come in, and we haven't quite gotten, sort of a reason why. There was general scuttlebutt that she felt like she was never going to have a family, and also that she liked a, senior consultant, which is what they kind of call their doctors, if I'm getting everything correctly. So, like, their supervising doctors, she was really quite keen on one of the, um, you know, senior doctors, and she used these children having episodes or collapses as what they call, like code blue over in England, to get his attention. But she has just been accused of such evil awfulness, and it really has no reason. And I always say that evil doesn't need a reason, but with things like this, things that involve kids, we want to know the why because we want to protect it. We want to protect those children. Former nurse Lucy Letby has denied tampering with a premature baby's breathing tube in an attempt to unalive the child, though prosecutors say that she was, quote, caught virtually red handed. Lucy Letby is on trial in Manchester Crown Court for the attempted unaliving of a baby known as Baby K. Now, in all of the videos that I have watched about this, they do not name the children other than giving them sort of an alphabetic, kind of notation. There are different laws about publicity and things, and that's why I feel a little odd commentating on this case when I am not quite well versed in English law, because I know there are a lot of differences. Let Be, on who is 34, was convicted last August for the unaliving of 7 babies and the attempted unaliving of 6 more between July 2015 and June 2016, but the jury was unable to come to a conclusion regarding the allegations concerning baby K, and a retrial was ordered. The disgraced nurse attacked infants by injecting insulin, milk, or air into their bodies, leading to their sudden deterioration, per details shared in her first trial. She was accused of physically hurting one baby, so laying her hands onto the baby in order to cause a severe liver injury akin to a traffic collision. In total, 17 babies, all but one were premature, were either unalived or injured severely by Letby, Fox News Digital previously reported. Letby is accused of displacing an infant's endotracheal tube less than 2 hours after she was born, February 17th, 2016. But in court on Tuesday, Letby told the jurors that she did, quote, nothing to harm the baby. Yeah, survey says that's BS. I'm going to go ahead and say, Lucy, I don't trust you any farther than I can throw you. And I don't want to touch you to have to throw you, allegedly, in Minecraft. So I don't trust you. The Guardian reported, and she said she was not guilty of what she was found guilty of. A senior doctor, Dr. Ravi Jayaram, caught Letby, quote, virtually red-handed when he walked into the nursery's intensive care room at around 3:45 a.m. that evening, prosecutors say. Doctors allegedly saw Letby doing nothing to help as the infant's blood oxygen levels plummeted and alarms on the monitor failed to sound. In the hours that followed on the same shift, Letby allegedly attempted to interfere with the infant's replacement tubes on 2 more occasions. I mean, it really is, I want a why from this. I want a why. I want to understand what was going on in her mind, because I want to be able to stop this from happening again. Letby said in court it was the hospital's policy to wait and see if the baby self-corrects rather than immediately intervening in these situations. But Elizabeth Morgan, a nursing advisory consultant, said that it would not be normal nursing policy to let baby K self-correct, given that she was born 15 weeks premature and weighed just over 1 pound. Quote, "That's her opinion," Letby said when she talked about Morgan's statement, The Guardian reported. "I can't say it's right or it's wrong. I just know that the policy was that in Chester." Prosecuting attorney Nick Johnson questioned whether the policy applied to babies as premature as baby K. Quote, "For any baby," Letby replied. There isn't a policy, but from my experience of working at Liverpool's Women's Hospital and the Countess of Chester, you would not immediately put your hands uh, in the incubator and start doing something because a baby would often self correct quite quickly. You're lying because you were caught cold by Dr. Jerome or Jairam, Johnson said. Okay, the only thing I wish is that England, the UK would video their trials because they don't, and that's the harder thing about learning about these cases too. And true, JKD Buck. I mean, I always say that evil doesn't have to have a reason, but I really, really want to figure them out when you have such dark crimes. Um, No, Letby replied when she was asked if she was caught cold handed. Letby agreed that the child was given an infusion of morphine around 4 a.m. and that a portable x ray showed the breathing tube in the correct location around 6:10 a.m. But then the child desaturated again 15 minutes later, and prosecutors suggest that Letby went into the nursery to retrieve notes. After the child had been destabilized for the third and final time, the breathing tube was found to have moved a fifth of the way in from where the doctor had placed it. Prosecutors said, "That's because you pushed it in, didn't you?" Johnson said. Letby replied, "No." Letby said her only memory of the child in question is that she was extremely premature. But Johnson said Letby's Facebook records show that she searched the family's surname 2 years after the child left the neonatal unit, and 10 weeks before her first police interview in July 2018. Baby K was a child who I suggest you remembered well, Johnson said. Letby denied the accusation. During cross examination, Johnson asked Letby directly whether she, quote, tried to unalive baby K. Therefore, you tried to create the impression that baby K was habitually desaturating and dislodging her own tube, did you not? He asked. No, Letby replied. Just like you tried to unalive 6 other babies, Johnson said, and you successfully unalived 7 other children? No, the former nurse said. Baby, Baby K was referred to a specialist hospital due to her extreme prematurity on February 17th, 2006. The Independent reported. The child passed away 3 days later. Prosecution does not allege that Letby caused her death. Letby's trial resumed next Monday when the judge will begin to sum up the facts of the case to a jury of 6 men and 6 women after closing argument from the defense attorneys and prosecutors. Yeah, it was, I mean, just she was absolutely terrible. They had another one, Nurse Adel. Adel. These, angels of death are terrifying. uh, because you expect to be able to trust your nerves. Says you expect to be able to trust your doctor, like the Harold Shipman case. It was absolutely, it's absolutely terrifying. As a parent, you expect doctors and nurses to do their best to help save your child. And if you have a snake in the grass, if you have someone that's spoiling this, it's terrifying. In sadder news, but definitely probably something that parents need to see if maybe they're having a little bit of trouble with their kids, to keep in mind that not all of these, wilderness, scared straight camps have the best records. So really, if that is something you think that could help your family, really research and make sure that they're accredited, make sure that they are, absolutely, have a good record, have good medical health, have good policies, about behavior control, modification things. The death of a 12-year-old boy on his first night at a wilderness therapy camp in North Carolina was determined to be a homicide, according to autopsy that was released Monday. The boy was discovered dead in February at the Trails Carolina, a self-described quote therapeutic wilderness program that is part of what's known as a troubled teen industry. With little oversight, private camps, boarding schools, and residential treatment facilities have been accused for decades of traumatizing the children they're designed to help, and in some cases have faced allegation of abuse and negligence. Trails Carolina was permanently shut down by the State Department of Health and Human Services in May after it was determined that the facility, quote, endangered the health, safety, and welfare of its clients. WBTV in Charlotte, North Carolina reported. No criminal charges have been filed since the autopsy's release. The Transylvania County Sheriff's Office said it's reviewing the report in conjunction with its overall investigation and is meeting with the district attorney. A spokesperson for the camp did not immediately respond to Huffington Post's request for comment Tuesday. According to the autopsy report obtained by Huffington Post, the boy was escorted to the camp by two men on February 2nd and processed for check in. At one point during check in, the boy refused to do anything until he had spoken to his parents in New York. He refused to eat supper that night, according to the report. All campers who were enrolled in the camp spent their first night next to their counselor, the report said. The boy slept inside an individual tent known as a pivvy in a mummy sleeping bag, which had a zipper alarm attached to it. The boy's counselor told detectives that he was wrestling and mumbling in his sleep around 10 p.m. and was talking an hour later, so they took him out of the sleeping bag, according to the medical examiner's report. He went back to sleep shortly, but after he woke again around midnight. Counselor said that by this time, the boy was thrashing about, according to the medical examiner's report. The boy's thrashing eventually stopped, and next morning, counselors allegedly found him cold to the touch and unresponsive. Transylvania County Sheriff's deputies said camp officials did not immediately cooperate with the investigation, which camp officials deny. According to previous reports by Huffington Post, the staff members who were assigned to the cabin where he was found not dead, the staff members were placed on leave. The medical examiner report says that the boy's cause of death was asphyxia due to smothering and determining the manner of death to be homicide. Meg Applegate, the CEO and founder of Unsilenced, a nonprofit group for victims of institutional child abuse, called the medical examiner's findings heartbreaking and infuriating. Yes, if you are stuffing someone into a mummy sleeping bag with alarms to get off, and apparently something transpired where they couldn't breathe anymore, then yeah, that's a terrible. Yeah, I mean, look, I get it. If you are an out of control teen and you're sent to the ranch, with Dr. Phil, I'm sure they have to find a way to keep your, delinquent behind in, the facility to which you've been sent. But you're telling me that parents are probably paying, a cool bunch of money for this thing. They couldn't figure out a way beyond a sleeping bag and, will hold you down until you asphyxiate. What the heck? Oh, audio coffee. Yes, it was Beverly Owlett. I just couldn't. I was like, there's something with an A. It, It further highlights the urgent need for comprehensive reform within the troubled teen industry and is a stark reminder of the dangers inherent in these facilities, Applegate said. The organization is now calling for state authorities to take immediate action and demand justice for this young boy and his family. The number of children who have died in wilderness therapy camps since 1990s, uh, including a previous death at Trails, Carolina. And thank you, Wolfram, for gifting 5 memberships. And those went to Darren Greenwood, Wheezy 2.0, Denise Sells searched for you, and Alice G. So thank you so much, Wolfram. And if you receive those memberships, give Wolfram a thank you. Welcome to the Church of Mo. We have welcome to the dark side. We have cookies and sarcasm, but we're pretty funny. Alec Lansing, 17, an Atlanta teen who was enrolled at the camp, was found not alive in 2014 in a stream in the western North Carolina after being missing for days, according to previous reports by WYFF TV in Greenville, South Carolina. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office in North Carolina said he had run away from camp and died of hypothermia. A 14-year-old girl reported being SA'd by another camper at Trails, Carolina in 2019. When she brought it up to camp officials, they denied her request to join another cabin, according to a lawsuit reviewed by Huffington Post. What absolute dumpster trash people. Don't be jerk faces. In our final story, two seniors swindled out of $400,000 in gold. Now, hopefully, they get these, elderly people their money back, because this is absolutely infuriating. This ticks me off because you don't mess with kids, puppies, kittens, even lizards and snakes, even though I don't understand your affinity for them. And you don't mess with old people. Didn't we learn that from Up? I mean, doggone it. June 23rd, an audacious and heartbreaking scheme, a pair of elderly Floridians were swindled out of $400,000 worth of gold bars by a phone fraudster who claimed that victims were facing arrest due to illegal activity in their respective Amazon accounts, according to court records. Last month, a 78-year-old Jensen Beach resident called police reporting that he'd been bilked out of $154,000 after receiving a call from a man claiming to be an Amazon representative. After being told about the purported fraud on his account, the victim transferred an Brian Alba, who said he was an agent with the U.S. government based on activity, that there were several warrants out for his arrest. Alba said he could keep the man out of jail, but the victim would first have to obtain a $154,000 cashier check, then use the funds to purchase two gold bars, each of which weighed a kilo and cost in excess of $75,000. Alba assured the septuagenarian that he would receive a cashier or send him a cashier's check back after he received the gold for the amount that he paid for it. Frequently, scams like this are targeted toward the elderly, who sometimes can be addled, fearful, or easy to manipulate, especially if they do not have a relative or a friend with whom to discuss strange telephone contacts. After obtaining the gold, the victim put the bars in an old iPhone box and wrapped the present to look like a gift, with Alba on the phone directing him. The man drove on May 24th to a drop-off location, placed the package in the back seat of a sedan when the driver rolled down the vehicle. What an absolute, just ridiculous, absolute terrible thing to do. You could spend time and go work. You could create, plays. You could do anything. It seems like you're creative. But no, you want to take money from old people who have, lived their entire life and deserve to maybe, rest, relax, and spend time with the grandkids. What absolute dumpster fires of humanity. Let's see here. The elderly man only called the police when he continued to get calls from Alba seeking more gold. The victim, the cops say, began to feel like the entire thing was a scam. At the direction of investigators, the man continued to take calls from Alba, who told the retiree to go to the bank to move money from his investment account and his checking account so that he could get a cashier's check to buy more gold. The victim Thursday arranged to deliver $200,000 to Alba's driver. Carried a box filled with fishing weights, not gold. The man was told by Alba to drive to a nearby shopping mall, where the victim was directed to a Toyota whose driver was a male of Indian descent who was on the phone during the transaction as well. As police surveillance teams watched, the victim was, as instructed, put the package in the Toyota, which drove away with the gold. Cops subsequently pulled the car over and identified the driver as, well, I am going to butcher this, but he's a jerk face, so I don't really care. Uh, Tejas Kumar Patel, 21, who carried an Illinois driver's license, Illinois, not Illinois. Look, uh, driver's license that said he lived with his family in Hanover Park, a Chicago suburb. Patel claimed he came to the U.S. in October 2023 and had a green card. After floating a series of false explanations, Patel was arrested for grand theft, a felony, and transported to police headquarters. While in custody, Patel confessed to his role in the fraud scene, saying he had been paid by someone he knows as Rocky to pick up packages and then deliver them to drop off points. He claims to have worked since May with Rocky, who pays for his travel, rental cars, and hotel stays. Patel also claimed he had done 6 jobs for Rocky and gave the cops access to his WhatsApp account, which showed he had been sent all over the country by Rocky. His phone showed that earlier Thursday he'd been directed to do a gold pickup from a 77-year-old Florida woman. Evidence from Patel's phone showed that he was the driver that picked up the gold bars from the Jensen Beach victim in late May. Patel, quote, pointed out all the people he picked up gold from were Americans and that everyone he delivered to were from India. Patel claimed he thought this was weird, but whenever he asked about it, Rocky told him just to focus on the job. Patel claimed he did not know where the gold was obtained, through regular or, illegal. Thank you, Fun Diane. Or legal means. A police examination of Patel's phone revealed that he was allegedly involved in scamming another Floridian out of cash and a large amount of gold, $242,000 worth. That swindle in neighboring St. Lucie County was expected to result in additional charges against Patel. Facing 3 felonies, Patel, locked up in Martin County Jail, made his initial appearance on Friday in circuit court. Police investigations into the gold bar scheming are continuing. Well, I hope they catch these 2 and put them all in all of the jail and make them wear placards that they swindled grandma and grandpa, because gross. Anywho, I will be sending you off to Baker's channel. We will be doing Verdict Watch. Y'all, I'm trying to be positive, but I think they're going to have a compromise vote and go for one of the lesser and includeds. I don't know. Juries are weird things. I am going to rotate laundry and then I will be right on with them. So have a wonderful day if you aren't going over there. And I will not see you tonight because it is actually Wednesday today and I will be having date night with Mr. Mo. So today I will actually not be having a night stream. Have a great day, you guys. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I will see you on Baker's. So bye, guys.